They say that the first 30 seconds of your video are the most important. And I realized that last time I did a swatching video, the first 30 seconds were staring at the table, which had nothing on it, and it was just completely blank with me talking. So hopefully this will be a little bit more interesting. They also say that you should try and improve something every video you do. So that's the first improvement, and hopefully the second will be to stop my wobbly table. Every table I have in this flat is wobbly, so hopefully today I'm going to find a solution to fix it. Today we're going to be looking at these beauties, at least I hope they're beauties. They are the Derwent Pastel Shades paint pan set, and what I'm hoping is that they're going to be thick and juicy and really opaque and full of colour so that I can make patterns with them. That's really what I have in mind for them. I'm hoping they're not going to be wishy-washy, washed out, and the colours, as far as I can tell, are absolutely gorgeous. So the colours I'm not worried about, it's just the consistency. Well, let's go and see what they're like. So here we are at the table. I believe I've stopped it rocking, so it might do minor wobble, but nothing like it has been in the previous videos. Another minor improvement that I hope I've made this time is I've put the focus onto the paper as opposed to on my hand. So every time my hand comes in, it should focus still on the paper. So if I've succeeded in all of these three things, then that's 3 improvements I've made in this video. Yay! So here are the paints, just tipping them up so they haven't got that nice ring light shine on them. I'll get them out. And in usual Derwent fashion, they come with a swatch card and sealed up with plastic. They really look exactly like candies. Just look at this purple one. I could almost just eat it. These 3 are just exceptionally beautiful. And this one here and this one here, just looking at them, I love them already. But let's see if that remains to be the case when we get swatching. Again, with these Derwent packs, it comes with a water brush. So it's divided into 2. You've got the cap so that comes off, and you can join the paintbrush together. Then when you want to put the paintbrush back into the palette, you'd need to empty it of water, separate it again, and then put that cap back on so that it all fits in. And there's a sponge for dabbing off your paintbrush there. So that's what's inside the pack. Let's get swatching. I can hardly wait. The colours are lemon, peach, coral pink, pink flamingo, orchid pink, lavender, cornflower blue, turquoise, mint, artichoke, storm grey, and silver blue. Doesn't tell us anything else about them apart from on the pack it says soft, refreshing coloured paints in pastel shades. Apply as a light wash or layer up for a brighter finish. So that's pretty much the only information we have. The only other bit of additional information on the back, it says Derwent's uniquely formulated pastel shades paints. They can be layered for a brighter finish without dissolving previously dried layers. Alternatively, these contemporary light shades can be applied delicately for a soft light wash or used with our Inktense and metallic paint sets to create dramatic effects. I feel like using a different brush for this swatching session though, so I'm just going to leave that one in there. I'm going to use this one instead, which is a Pinturale Professional Series Round number 8. It's just got a nice pointy tipped head, so I feel like going with that one. Here comes the lemon yellow. Okay, my first impression is it's quite dense. It's got nice coverage, it's thick, not too opaque and wishy-washy, so things are looking promising. Next up is the peach. That's a gorgeous colour, and again, I'm quite pleased with it. Definitely happy so far. I felt like they might have been much more wishy-washy, so first impressions are good. This is the coral pink. Beautiful, especially if you like to paint salmon. That immediately brings the salmon to mind. This one is pink flamingo. Lovely. Then we have the orchid pink. Ooh, nice. I'm going to have to go back for more because I want that to be a bit thicker. It'll be interesting to see how these react to wet on wet, but we can do that afterwards. Let's just swatch them through to begin with. This one is lavender. I've really got a thing about this colour lately. Again, I think I need to get more. So you could see that you could get some really pale washes as suggested on the packet, or really go over them again and again, make it a bit brighter. So going back, those three colours there, wow, loving them. Those three also look fabulous together. And there is the punchy yellow. Okay, let's go on to the second row. This one is cornflower blue, and again, I have high hopes because I love this colour, and it is not disappointing. That is just beautiful. Onto its neighbour, turquoise. Wow. Loving that one too so far. I love every single colour in this paint pan. The names of these Derwent things always get me into a tongue twister. It's like Pastel Shades paint pan set. For some reason, the paint pan set just feels like a tongue twister. I trip over it every single time, I have to say it. Paint pan set. Next up is mint. Again, that is a gorgeous colour. These are all colours that I really love. So it's a happy set for me. Now we have artichoke. Ooh, that's probably the most earthy one of the series. This one is storm grey. Gosh, beautiful brown. Grey, I should say. That is really lovely. A really gentle, woody kind of brown. And the last one is silver blue. And indeed it is. A bluey. Reminds me of polar bears. Who knows why, or seals, or that kind of cold Arctic environment where you've got that bluey tinge to the snow reflected from the sky. So that's the second row. Let's just go back down over the second row. Steel blue, the storm grey, into the artichoke, mint, turquoise and cornflower blue. And there they are together. So far so good. It's interesting that the water I've been washing them out the paintbrush in has gone a kind of milky colour, which would make sense because of the pastel. They must have quite a lot of white in there as well. But you can actually see it in this water. There you go, you can kind of see it there. So that's interesting. I'm interested to see how they would behave using the wet on wet technique, because I don't know whether they're the kind of paint that would flow like a watercolour would, or whether they'll just sit there and not do anything, or how they would react. So let's try that with a couple of colours. So I'll just put down some water. And I'm going to go with the turquoise and see what happens. Yeah, so it doesn't seem too dissimilar from how a watercolour would behave, which is great. Let's see if we can bring in some of the cornflower. Oh wow, beautiful. So you could get some nice gradients with these. I'll try it with the pink and the purple as well. That's quite pale. I feel like I really have to load up the brush, or like really dig deep into the pans to get the colour on there. Let's also try the storm grey into the silver blue, see how that goes. There's obviously no really dark colour in this palette, so if you wanted something really dark, you might have to bring in another colour. In a minute we can go back over the first samples and try putting a second coat on, seeing how much more saturated it makes it, but you still wouldn't get a really dark colour. But I don't think that's really the point of these, so perhaps that doesn't matter. Grab more of that. Bring it into the storm grey. I'm going to go back over them and put a second coating on the left hand side just to see if I can really darken up the colours and see what kind of a difference that would make. So I think that's quite successful. You can get quite a good colour build up if you were to layer it or just go over them. Actually, now looking at them, I said that because I had just finished swatching them and had seen them as I was swatching them. But now that they're drying and I'm looking at them, the difference is not so much. Like this one's pretty much faded into what it was, same as that, same as that. So that one seems to be the most difference, but it's still wet. So let's see what happens when they're all dry, and then we can really see what the situation is. But I think it's fair to say that they're not super really highly intense colors, but that's not what they're supposed to be anyway. They're beautiful shades of pastel, so I'm really happy with them. This one here is giving some nice effects as it's settling into the cold press paper. So yeah, I think that's fun. I'm going to try now and do a little bit of pattern painting with them, because this is what I said that I wanted at the beginning. And if they're able to achieve that for me, the kind of patterns that I want to do are just little doodle patterns. I just have in my head this kind of border pattern in a way, or way that I wanted to use them. So let's see if I can achieve that. If you can see here on the paints themselves, they've got these really interesting white marks, which again must be all the white paint that's inside them to make them pastel. But it's making some really interesting textures. So that's quite fun. Not something I've seen on other paints. Right, I'm going in with the cornflower blue because this is the one that I had in my head specifically when I got these patterns in my mind. They're just like really simple zigzags, but it's what I wanted to do. So, and this is another reason I didn't want to use the water brush that came with the pack, because I wasn't sure that it would behave in the way that I know this one does. So I'm going in with this lavender just to put some dots, because I just want to see how opaque it is, whether it's comparable to gouache, whether it's more like watercolor. How does it behave? And on the basis of that, I'll know which paint I should go for when I want to do certain things. That feels quite wishy-washy. I love doodling. It just kind of gives you that freedom to play and move around your brush on the paper without thinking, without really caring, and you end up always coming up with something that looks fun, and it just doesn't matter what you do. It's a real freedom in it. It almost feels like the morning pages from The Artist's Way. If you know about those, you're supposed to get up every morning and write 3 pages, just whatever comes out of your head. And it doesn't matter what you write, and you're not supposed to censor yourself. And I feel like doodling is that same kind of thing. Just whatever is in you, let it come out. And interesting ideas might come from it, or it might spark something, or you just never know where it's going to lead. But it just kind of frees you up to play without worrying about the outcome. So using them like this, they are. Just going to go over these because I want to see if they get a bit darker. But yes, you definitely, I think, would be looking at something on the lighter side. You probably definitely wouldn't come for these for some really intense colours. Off the page, I got really into it there. as we have Valentine's Day coming up. See how intense we can get our hearts. These hearts are loaded with water. There's really a lot on there, so it'll be interesting to see how it dries compared to how a watercolor would dry under the same circumstances. I'm going to try mixing together the artichoke and the mint. So I think that'll probably come up with a nice in-betweeny colour. And I was right. Gorgeous. It's somewhere, takes that down a bit, but just brings that up a bit. So that for me is a happy place, right in the middle of those two colours. So just coming in back over those colours, where I put the darker stripe on the left, you can't see it on all of them. So you can barely see it on that one, vaguely, but not really. That one, not really at all. That one, not really at all. This one, slightly, you can see there's a bit of a difference here, but not so much. This one you can, and on that one too. On this one you can on this one. Also that one. This one, kind of. That one you can, and also that one. So it's just these two, this top row of the yellow and the oranges where it didn't really work so well. And going back down to here where I had that massive water puddle, and I wanted to see how it would dry. It's dried very much as a watercolor would, with all the pigment around the outside, creating that hard line. But I actually think it's quite beautiful on these hearts, because it gives you that unintended outline. So that's quite fun. So that's the end of the swatching session. I hope that's been useful, and if you were thinking about these paints, then you've seen what the colours are like, and that will help you to make a decision about whether they could be right for you or not. I think I'll definitely be using them because I had great fun and they did not disappoint me for what I personally wanted. That's the end of it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!